We are here to talk about the paranormal, as we are each and every Saturday night. Tim Weisberg here, the silent assassin Matt Costa. Science advisor Matt Moniz is off tonight. He's actually at the Burke. He's just running around doing some paperwork stuff for something that we'll be talking about in just a moment. We're going to have John Brightman pop on for a second here to give us an update on an event that we'll be taking part in next week. But first, I just want to remind everybody, as we get into the fall here, there'll be some weeks when we're not here. There might be some weeks when it's just like Moniz and Matt here. There'll be some weeks when you're not going to hear us on the radio because there's Red Sox games, and also the station is running college football games as well. Not a lot of college football games. There's just a select few on the slate. But on those nights, when they're running games on WBSM, you'll hear us exclusively on YouTube and on the Spooky South Coast app and on SpookySouthCoast.com. I think they're trying to set it up, Matt, so that we can stream over the WBSM stream eventually. So that even though you won't hear us on WBSM radio, the WBSM.com stream will carry us, which means that app will also carry us. But for now, what do you need that other app for? You got the Spooky South Coast app. That's all you need. And that's where you can find out everything that's going on. You can find out everything about the show, watch past episodes, watch the live episodes, join in the chat room, and also find out about the different events that we will be at. And as I mentioned, next Saturday night, Stephanie and I will be at an event that some things have changed a little bit. So we're going to bring on right now John Brightman of Bright Star Promotions. He's the one that's putting on the event, and he's going to kind of give us the rundown, the skinny of what's been happening. Good evening, John. Hold on a second here. I got to make sure that I don't put you on over the football game and put you on here. All right, are you with us, John?
Yes, I am.
All right. So first of all, thank you for popping on a little bit, and thank you for having us come to this event, even though some things have changed a little bit. We're honored that you asked us to be part of it. So thank you for that.
There's no thanks needed. You guys are great friends of mine, and I love both you guys to death. All three of you guys that are on there. Well, there's four people, but three of you that I know that are here tonight.
We know that you don't like the one that isn't here. You don't have to pretend. He's not here.
And no, I'm just glad that you guys can all be a part of it. I'm looking forward to this. It's going to be a fun event.
So, of course, it wouldn't be a paranormal event if there wasn't some sort of issues. There's always going to be something that pops up. And with this, we're like a week away from this event. It's next Saturday night. So we thought everything was going smooth. We thought everything was going right. And then all of a sudden a monkey wrench yesterday.
Yes, it did. It popped in. Unfortunately, it popped in that there's circumstances beyond our control at the Victorian Mansion in Gardner, the SKPS house. And I guess the town basically says that we can't have an event there due to things that need to be fixed at the house, that they just want everything finished before they can fully open up to the public. So, unfortunately, we have to move the location. We tried our hardest. You, Stephanie, have been working on this unbelievably with all you've done, because I've been on vacation and I woke up to this message, and thank God that you guys had already jumped on and helped me out. And I can't say thank you enough to you guys, but we were able to secure a new location with your help, and I think people are going to love it no matter what, because now we're getting 2 times the location that we were at the mansion. And that's not to say the mansion isn't great. We're just getting 2 amazing locations instead of 1.
Right, and that's the thing about the S.K. Pierce Mansion. It's a fantastic place to visit and to investigate, but people don't understand that the town has been causing problems for the different ownership of the house over the last, 5, 6, 7 years. Yep. They keep running into all kinds of stumbling blocks. The first event that we tried to put on there with Legend Trips, we were told we couldn't have an event 4 days out from the event because there was no running water and no bathrooms. So I had
no heat.
And well, yeah, but they didn't care about the fact that there was no heat.
No.
They were fine with people freezing. They were just worried about them not being able to take a dump during the event.
And really?
So what we ended up doing is, for that event, we had to hire a fire marshal.
Right.
Who actually ended up taking part in the investigation himself, which I was like, wait a minute, why am I paying you all this money to be here
Right.
when you're doing the things that all the people that paid money to be but anyway, he was a great guy. And then I had to rent a porta potty.
You did.
I was scrambling to try to find a porta potty to have out in the front yard that
Right.
people had to walk out in the November cold to use instead of having a bathroom.
Yeah, I didn't do that.
And then the second time when we had the event last year, some of the stuff started to come up again where there were issues. And I had to like make a phone call to the Board of Health to say, okay, well, we're going to use the bathroom at the pizza shop. They said they're going to stay open. And we had to work out all kinds of hoops there. And I don't want to get into some of the behind the scenes stuff of, why the town is coming down on this event. But the bottom line is that's the reason this had to happen. It's because of the town. It's not the owners. It's not John. It's not anything to do with anything except that the town has had, the city of Gardner has had issues with this from day one. And for some reason they let an event happen 2 weeks ago, but now they're coming down on this one. So as you said, John, we were able to move it to Winchendon, to the Murdoch Whitney house and the Isaac Morse house across the street. And the Winchendon Historical Society and Don O'Neill over there, they've been great to work with over the years with legend trips. And when this came up, I said, that's only 15 minutes away. It's like the next town over. Anybody that already made travel arrangements or hotel arrangements, it's still right in the wheelhouse for them to be able to still go there. Let's see if we can get that house. And Don was more than happy to accommodate us that night. And like you said, John, it's going to be basically 2 houses now for the price of one. Both of them are huge. The Murdoch Whitney house, I've had some great strange experiences in there. The Isaac Morse house, I only got a tour of it. I haven't actually had a chance to investigate it yet, so I'm going to try and get over there during the course of next Saturday night and check out some of that stuff. They've built an ice cream parlor on the first floor. So, Stephanie, Don has said if we can get there before the ice cream parlor closes, he's going to make us awesome ice cream sundaes.
Listen, you just have to talk to John because John's driving. And if you've ever driven anywhere with him, you know that you get there in lightning speed. So I think we'll be okay.
But I know that you're the ice cream fan. So you're the one that will make sure that it happens.
I am. So
we got to make sure, and I think you will agree, I know Porter will agree, but I think we have to make sure that the paranormal princess is well taken care of. So we have to get her ice cream.
Really?
Well, if Don can't make her a sundae, we'll find one somewhere. But now the advantage of this, John, is like you said, we have double the space now. And it was already a very limited event to begin with. But now with having 2 buildings, it only makes sense to say, okay, well, we could probably get a few more people involved in this event now, right?
Absolutely. I think that was a great idea, with having the 2 locations, be able to add it up to more people that wanted to come. Because I had people that reached out to me. I believe you did. I know Stephanie did. Are there still tickets available? They were contemplating doing it because we still did have 2 tickets left available for the Victorian Mansion. And I was telling people, well, there's possibly 2 already taken, so there is no more. Now we'll be able to open those up, and hopefully those people will want to come to this. And that was one concern when I heard the call, that we could happen to cancel this. My first thought was we all have people coming from different places across the country, not just local in New England that was driving in. I know myself, I have a few friends from Atlanta that were flying in. They could cancel and get their money back possibly, but some airlines won't do that. They make you carry it over.
Right. We have somebody coming from California.
We have California, we have Florida,
and
we have Michigan,
Florida,
we have Atlanta.
and Michigan. So that was my main concern, is worried. Not that I wasn't worried about everybody, but I was worried a lot about those people because of the flights. So I was glad that we were able to pull this off and get the new location, and I think it's just going to be an even better night. Now that we've got 2 locations, we can spread out even more, and more people can come and enjoy the night.
And the idea behind having more tickets means that's more money that we can give to the Murdoch Whitney House, to the Winchendon Historical Society for helping us out of this jam. So,
absolutely.
When you come, if you decide to come to the event because you're like, okay, well, I wasn't really doing anything Saturday night. Yeah, sure, I think I might go. Then, you're going to be directly helping them for helping us out in a time of need. And as I mentioned, I've investigated the Murdoch Whitney House a couple of times now, and strange things happen every time we go there. That's the place where Moniz and I had peach pits that were just appearing out of nowhere and hitting us, being thrown at us by something we couldn't see in the basement of that place. And we had an amazing flashlight session in the dining room of that place the last time we were there. And it's such a great, great spot It's been all restored. It looks fantastic. It's like living in a museum, and you get to investigate the whole place. I think it's 4 floors in the Murdoch Whitney house. I think there's 3 floors in the Isaac Morse house. So you have all this space to spread out, and I can tell you, it doesn't matter how many people go to this thing. You're going to feel like you're the only one there sometimes. And
That's awesome.
And even then, it's still going to be intimate.
It's my first time going to that location.
It's a really cool location. I actually, my first time there, I was actually, Tim, the first time that we ever got to investigate the Isaac Morse house. It was finally open, and I was with Tim and Jeff Belanger, and they both said something weird happened in this house. So can you just go in and tell us what room it was and what happened? So I said, okay, yeah, sure. Just kind of giggling at the fact that my friends were testing my psychic abilities. And I went and I walked through the house, and I stopped in one room, and I said, okay, this is where it happened. And Jeff said, yep. Okay, what happened? I said, somebody died in this room. They committed suicide. It was a gunshot wound. And Jeff said, okay, yep, great. Awesome, you got it all right. Now let's go. Let's go check people in.
In the Morse house, yeah.
Yep. So it was very, very interesting.
So, and one of the other advantages, John, you haven't been there, but one of the advantages that you'll be happy to know about as the event coordinator is the Murdoch Whitney house has a parking lot, which is something that we weren't going to have at the S.K. Pierce mansion. So you will be able to actually park and not have to find a place down the street, and so it'll be a lot easier in that regard. And at the Murdoch Whitney house, we can actually eat pizza inside the house.
Awesome.
So that saves you the trouble of having people walking back and forth across the street.
Yes. No, that definitely sounds a much easier night that will flow when you can have the easier parking, not having to have people walking from down the street and all crossing the street trying to get food. It sounds like a much easier and better location for the night.
So, and now, of course, anybody that wants to get involved with this, I know that we made an event poster for it earlier, Stephanie.
Yes,
that'll be blasted all over social media.
Correct.
But people can go to the website to purchase the tickets that you set up earlier.
Which is brightstarpromotions.eventbrite.com.
So it's BRITE.
Yes.
So brightstarpromotions.eventbrite.com. So both Brights are BRITE.
Yes.
And of course we'll share it out on all of our social media, and we'll get the word out there. And if I'm sure there might be some people, John, that come at you and say, I was really counting on going to the Pierce mansion. I think I'd like to get a refund. So I know that you can work that out if possible, but I'm just telling anybody that's listening, you're not going to be sorry that this got changed to a different location.
I really don't think with the group that we have, because I've talked to Stephanie about it, mentioned it to you. We all know pretty much everybody that's coming, and I think everybody that's coming was excited to go to the mansion, but I think they're just excited to be out ghost hunting and investigating and having a good time with all of us also. So I think no matter where we had it, I think these people would have come because they're going to enjoy their time anyways. And
that's not even to mention the fact that there's 2 very special guests that'll be there that we haven't even mentioned.
Right.
One of whom will be joining us in a bit. That's Porter from Haunted Towns and from the Tennessee Wraith Chasers. And also Shari D. Benedetti from Ghost Hunters will be there as well.
Mm-hmm.
So have you told them yet about the new spot?
No, I have not. I have not told them. Sherry's away down in Atlanta, Georgia at Dragon Con right now, and I haven't had a chance to talk to Porter. I was waiting for a text message from him anyways to talk to about something else, but I'm sure he'll be hearing it shortly if he's not listening already.
Well, I'm sure Stephanie, you probably she set up the interview for tonight, so she's already let him know.
He probably already knows.
Yep.
So it'll be next Saturday night. You can get the tickets. Get them now while you can. It's already up and going, right, Stephanie? Oh, the site's already
Everything is set up.
So just go to brightstarpromotions.eventbrite.com to get your tickets. And as I said, we'll share all that out. And I agree. I think that there's a reason this happened. Everything happens for a reason. And I get a feeling we're going to be in for one hell of a spooky night next Saturday.
I do too. I agree with you, Tim. And like I said, I can't thank you enough for being a part of it. Same thing with Stephanie being a part of it, and of course Porter and Sherry. But you guys with helping out as much as you did and stepping up and taking care of it before I even got the phone call, because I was out late fishing and didn't get up till about 11 o'clock in the morning. So I can't thank you guys enough for doing this and helping out, and I think it's going to be an awesome night.
All right. Well, we will see you then and probably talk to you before then.
Yes. All right, you guys enjoy the night. Have a good show, and everybody listening, I hope you have a great night, too.
All right.
Thanks, John.
Take care.
Take care.
That is John Brightman of Bright Star Promotions, and as we mentioned, the beyond our control. People always say that when stuff goes wrong. They always say, due to circumstances beyond our control. But in this case, it really was beyond our control.
Yeah, there was literally nothing that we could do, and you and I tried.
Sure.
The backstory is I woke up to a message from the mansion, and I was the only one that knew at that time, and I immediately got to work. I recruited Tim to help me. Tim ended up saving the day in the end, but the two of us were working endlessly for hours trying to figure out how we were going to save this event and how we were going to pull it off and make it happen, because Tim and I have been through this a bunch of times before with the town of Gardner. And
that's when you sent me the messages at first, I was like, don't worry about it.
Exactly.
This happens every time. It's going to work out. We'll figure it out. And I told you, I said, I'm not psychic. I don't have abilities or sensitivities, but I have a feeling it's all going to work out. And I was right. It did work out, just not the way that I thought that it would.
And I mean, I'm disappointed to not be going to the S.K. Pierce Mansion because I was looking forward to it. However, I haven't been to Winchendon in a couple of years. So
do we chalk this up at all to the ongoing battle that we've had with whatever is at the S.K. Pierce Mansion?
Of course we do.
I'm talking beyond the city of Gardner. I'm talking beyond the human element. You're talking
about the supernatural.
There's something there that has been working against us.
And does not like us to arrive at that house. But once we were there, it doesn't like us to leave either.
Right. So
in a creepy way, not in a good way.
I think that might have had some influence.
Oh, I absolutely think so.
And I hate to be the guy that says, oh, it's the paranormal things that are affecting things, but I think that in this case, that definitely plays part of it.
I agree with you, and you were that guy that didn't want anything to do with blaming it on stuff like that. You would kind of just brush it off and not say much, but I don't know. There's been some weird things that have happened.
Especially when I've found a way around all the other things that have happened, but now there's just an inexplicable brick wall here.
Right.
It'd be one thing if they could give us an actual rationale and reasoning why.
Right.
But I talked to the owner yesterday for about 20 minutes, and even he said, I really don't understand it. I have no explanation why. I'm waiting to get an explanation why. But here it is, a holiday weekend, so they find out on Friday of the holiday weekend that the event can't take place there. So now we're not going to get an answer from anybody until at least Tuesday. And they're probably thinking that if it gets to that point, because you're a week out, they'll probably just cancel the event. So we won't even have to get into that stuff with them. But, we found a way around it. We found a way to pull out what will be an even better location, I think.
I think so too. I agree. I can't wait because the two locations are literally across the side street from each other. So it's a very easy walk. It's such a beautiful place too.
Oh, it is.
It's
perfect small town New England. It is. It's so scenic. When you get, even the ride there is like just driving through a crossword puzzle. Not a crossword puzzle, a jigsaw puzzle. And if you drove through a crossword puzzle, you'd be really screwed.
How do you drive through a crossword puzzle?
But it's it's like this very scenic, picturesque location.
Right.
These two great mansions across the street from each other. They've done such a great job in restoring them. And the money that you are paying for your ticket, part of that is going toward helping with that continued restoration. So, when you go to these places, you say, I've given a piece to what they're doing here. So absolutely. And bring a few extra dollars when you come next Saturday night, because the Murdoch Whitney House actually has a little gift shop inside of the building where they have some really unique, Victorian era stuff that you're going to want to bring something home. So bring a little bit of extra money if you like to collect those kind of things. And you have something else coming up as well before we get into things with Porter too, right? You have some other things on the docket.
I have a lot of things coming up. I'm waiting to hear back from one right now, but I will be in Sleepy Hollow, New York, on the when is it? October 21st and 22nd for the Festival of Witches, and I'm really excited for that because I've never been, and it's right before Halloween. Then the weekend after, I will be at Alamo City Comic-Con Halloween Edition in San Antonio, Texas, and then I am traveling to Columbia, Tennessee for Spirits of the South, which is put on with our amazing friend Christy Parrish, who is trying to help raise money for some locations down in Tennessee that really desperately need it. So I will be there along with Porter. Actually, I'll be in Texas with Porter as well. And then after that, I am finally doing my first public gallery reading back in this area with Dustin Perry. So the weekend of November 18th, I will be at the Mayflower Lodge in Middleborough, Mass. And which is
the Masonic Lodge, for those who don't know.
Yes, it is. And I will finally be coming out of retirement locally.
And that's one of those locations, too, that you hear a lot about the paranormal activity that goes on there. So good luck with that, trying to read people in the gallery while there's all those other... You're going to have like a line out the door looking to talk to you. And I'm not even talking about the living people. No,
I know. So it's going to be weird. It's going to be weird getting back into it. But I'm actually doing a gallery reading down in San Antonio, Texas, too. So it's time. But I'm excited. So tickets... I mean, you can go everywhere to get different tickets for all those things, but the tickets for Dustin and I will be at...
well, I mean, everything's on your site, too, right?
StephBurke.com.
So that's just direct everybody to that one spot, and they'll find it from there. And we're working on some other things, too. I don't know how much of it's going to sync up with your schedule. There might be some that you are at, some that you're not at. I don't even know anything about dates right now, but we're working on a few things coming up for October and maybe even into November for stuff going on here, because we've been trying to put on some different stuff, because this is the time people say, oh, well, this is your time of year to make money, right? Because you're in the paranormal stuff. This is the time of year where you can make money. No, this is the time of year when we can get people to come in and make money for these locations. You know, nobody wants to go to some of these places in July or August when they can go take a $5 walking tour, but they want to go and they want to buy that ghost hunting ticket in October because they're looking for some spooky fun and something to do. So that's why we're trying to get as much stuff as we can. So if you start seeing a bunch of stuff getting blasted at you for different events, that's the reason why, because this is kind of like our chance to, and our time of year to help these places out. And as you can tell, some of them need it. We talk all the time about the places that this is pretty much their biggest tourism arm now is through ghost stuff. So, we want to help them out where we can, and then hopefully that has a trickle-down effect that gets people to start showing up for the $5 walking tours during the summer.
I hope that I'm here for what we're planning, because I already kind of have an idea. So,
well, there's one that's probably going to happen sometime in October that you might miss out on. But sorry, it's just when they're available. And plus,
I have 1 week in October left.
Geographically, I start to get worried past certain times of the year.
I
start to say, oh no, that's too far north to go in the first week of November. It might snow. So
hey, it snows.
You know how I feel about snow.
Here, pretty much.
Well, let's bring on a guy now who doesn't have to worry about snow.
Unless he travels to Salem in April.
Which I swore that wouldn't happen, but it happened anyway.
It did.
Joining us on the line right now, we have Porter from Haunted Towns. Porter, are you with us?
Hey, yeah, I'm right here, Tim. How's it going, man?
Good. How you doing?
Pretty good. I'm a little bit more awake than the last time I think we spoke.
Well, listen, I can only promise to try not to put you to sleep, but sometimes it happens.
No guarantee it
You won't be the first guest that nodded off on me.
I've got the time zone thing down now, I think. It took me a little bit to get it straight.
Well, we were just talking with John Brightman about how we had to change the event location for next Saturday night, and I know that you were excited to come up for the S.K. Pierce Mansion, but now we're going to have two great locations right across the street from each other, two huge mansion houses, and one of which has an ice cream shop in it. So that's the goal next Saturday, is to get there early enough to make sure that we can have ice cream before the event.
I mean, who does not want to go on a ghost hunt in an ice cream shop? I mean, it's like the perfect mix of everything.
Well, listen, I didn't get to actually go out in the field that much with you guys as you were filming the season of Haunted Towns. But was it the episode that we just watched, the Savannah episode? Was that the one where you guys got the free ice cream?
Ooh, let's see. Was it Savannah? No, it was McDonough, Georgia. I think where we got the ice cream. That one. Oh yeah, that was a good pile of ice cream. I got no lie to tell. That stuff was nice. It was hot that day.
Yeah, you guys were eating it out of like those 3-gallon containers. Like I was like, what?
Oh no, wait a minute. Yeah, that was Savannah where we got the 3-gallon container of ice cream. We had 2 ice cream episodes this season. 2
ice cream episodes, and neither one of them were in New England where I was. That figures.
No, man. You guys. There was nobody up there that gave us ice cream. It was all in the South. I think they were trying to fatten us up, like pigs. So it was okay though. It was good ice cream.
You know what's funny is when you guys were up in Salem and there was that cemetery where you filmed with Sam and there was all that nice background of the snow and everything. That actually, there's an ice cream place there that's like in charge of running that cemetery,
Oh,
and,
yeah, really?
And I was hoping I could get there just because I'd heard that the ice cream was so good. I was like, yeah, it'd be nice to see everybody and help with filming, but really, I just want to go for ice cream.
How did I miss ice cream at a cemetery? How did I do that?
That's
I don't know.
weird.
I don't know.
Oh my gosh, something was not working in my favor.
Stephanie and I are like the hounds for ice cream. Like we find it no
Seriously.
matter where it is. Like we went and filmed at a haunted library right next door. Ice cream.
Yep.
Like literally in the parking lot. So all we did, we were filming a sizzle reel, and we took off to get ice cream.
Right. We're like, yep. It was with Chris Jericho.
It was with Chris Jericho.
We're like, hey, Chris, it's nice to meet you, but we got to go get some ice cream.
We
man.
don't really care. We're just gonna eat.
You guys
if
keep
don't
doing
mind.
what you're doing. We're gonna go get some sundaes.
That was the time that we sat on that bench eating the ice cream by ourselves, and we ended up with all those weird inchworms all over us.
Right.
Those are
and
awful.
talking to the people about how the ice cream shop is haunted.
Oh, that's right. That's right. We did. Because the library was haunted. So
right.
Of course the ice cream shop was haunted.
It had to spill over. It had to.
Well, and that's what's so great about haunted towns is that you guys are getting to these places where it's little out of the way places or maybe like on the town square, places that you never would look at a place and say, oh, I bet you that place is haunted. But yet you find out that it has this amazing activity going on, and it's a piece of a bigger puzzle for the entire town.
That's the whole thing about it. We tend to think about haunted locations as being confined to one specific building or one specific area. And haunted towns, what we've done is we kind of, like you said, we branched out. We look at the story, and we look for connections between different locations, and then we try to dig into those and see if we can make that connection through the spirit world too, and substantiate it through the evidence that there's a definite spirit connection between one location and the other, or maybe 3 or 4 locations.
And when I find myself going into a place for the first time, going to a town, maybe it's my first time visiting there, maybe I'm just passing through. I do a lot of yard sailing, so, I end up down these out-of-the-way places. And as I'm doing all that, the conversation that I have with everybody inevitably turns to places that are haunted. And you can't go anywhere with there at least being 1 or 2 or 3 stories like that in every town in America.
Oh, my God, yeah, that's the key. Everyone, excuse me, clear my throat. I just drove through a crossword puzzle and had me a smoothie. But no, that's the thing about it. Everybody, who you talk to, they have a story about something that they can't explain. So there's everybody has a ghost story. But I think the neatest thing is when you talk to people who have no connection to one another and maybe know nothing about the stories of each location, but yet they're having similar activity or seeing similar entities, and so then you start digging into the history to try to see what the connection was, and sometimes that connection is very small, and sometimes it's huge. I mean, just like our episode of McDonough, Georgia. I mean, the train crash down there was huge, and it connected a lot of places.
And when you do have these common threads, though, you've been investigating for a long time, so you know that this can be the trap that happens, is you start looking at some of this backstory, and you start thinking that you start expecting that all the stuff that you find will fit into that narrative some way or another, and sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. But the stuff that you guys have found, at least through these first 3 episodes, has been amazing because it is directly related to that narrative. It's not like I'm hearing it and saying, well, yeah, I can see where they think that, but it could also be this. I mean, you're getting direct names and direct facts based on these stories coming through in the evidence that you're collecting.
Yeah, I think that's the neatest thing. I mean, I think one of my favorite was in Gettysburg up there. That and Salem, both of those are wonderful episodes. But Gettysburg, when we were doing the investigation and that EVP came through that said Abraham Lincoln, that was kind of unexpected. I mean, it was totally unexpected. We were getting some activity, had some good interaction all night. And then to get that type of intellectual interaction in a location that is so connected to such a prominent figure in American history, not to mention that right above us where we got that EVP. Now this is something that they didn't show in the show, but hanging on the wall right above where we were at when we got that EVP was a framed picture or a shadow box, if you will, and in that shadow box there was a lock of Abraham Lincoln's hair and a document that he had signed in his Secretary of War. There was also a photograph of him. And then there was a stack of documentation from the National Archives and some other entities that had verified that was his hair. So there was a direct piece of him right above us. Not to mention, the fact that he had stayed right across the street before he delivered the Gettysburg Address. So I mean, everything there is very familiar with that name, and for the way that worked out, when I asked the question of who was the person that stayed in the building across the way that addressed the country after the war, and to get his name, not just Lincoln, but when you listen to it really closely, you can hear Abraham Lincoln. It amazed us, but it kind of brings all the story together, how it connects everything in that location.
And what I like about it too is, and again, this is kind of the format of the show more than anything else, is with Haunted Towns now we get to see you guys as you really are on an investigation, instead of a particular aesthetic maybe that was being put forth with Ghost Asylum, where when you're investigating these places that have this dark, deep history, and it's one location, and you're spending that, like, that has an effect on you, and has an effect on your personality and how you're acting in that night and in that investigation. But with Haunted Towns, you can tell that, because I think of the nature of going in so many different directions when you're in a town, I think it's more like your natural personalities are shining through, and you can see that excitement on everybody's face when something comes through and everybody hears it right away and knows exactly what was said.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's one of the unique things that how we went with Haunted Towns. We wanted to showcase more of who we are. You go and you do these investigations, and I think that the average viewer thinks that we walk into a building, we go in, we sit down with a few pieces of equipment, we say, hey, can you talk to us? And the spirits talk to us, and then we just go through for 42 minutes, and then we're like, okay, we're done, we're going home. But we're actually in this, on location or in these towns for 4 or 5 days investigating. So there's all this time that we're there that we're either waiting or we're not getting the interaction that we hope for, because the spirits don't talk to us on demand. They're kind of on their own time frame. But it takes a while sometimes to get that evidence to come through. But in the meantime, you're not stuck in one location. You're not beating the walls to death and just getting frustrated and that's not tearing you down. It's kind of like you're exploring. You're out there looking for new locations. You're looking at new areas that offer something new. I think I can say new 5 or 6 times in the same sentence. But it's something different. So it brings about a little bit of a different feel for the investigators. It's you're on a path of discovery. Not just spiritual there, but you never know what you're going to run across. I mean, we find some artifacts, and for me that's very interesting because I love history. Just like when I came across Lincoln's hair there at the Mason-Dixon Militaria in Gettysburg, and then also came across a pair of Elvis's underwear. So what a crazy piece of American history, right?
Whoa! That's well, I got to ask you now. Did you try them on?
Well, I did not try them on. I was kind of afraid to touch them. They looked a little stained.
Oh, well, yeah, I'm not surprised. But I was talking about Elvis I used to do a Saturday morning talk show, and on I think it was Elvis's, it was either the anniversary of his death or his birthday. I did the whole show on Elvis, and a guy calls up and says, hey, I got something that you might want to see. I'm going to come down to the station. And I was like, okay, whatever. And he shows up at the door, and I let him in, and he has this shopping bag. And he opens up the shopping bag, and inside of it, wrapped up in tissue paper, is a scarf. And he pulls out the scarf, and he says, this was Elvis's actual scarf. My wife caught it at one of his concerts in Las Vegas in 1970, whatever, and she passed away, but I've held on to it, and I just thought you might want to see it. And I looked at it, and I said, can I put it on? He says, absolutely. And he puts it on over my neck, and I was like, oh, my God, I'm wearing a scarf that Elvis Presley wore. And it was a total geek out moment for me.
I think that may be the first time I heard that story.
Really? I tell it all the time.
You are wearing a scarf that had so much of Elvis's sweat on it. You now have part of Elvis's DNA on your body.
That's why I'm the king, baby.
Oh my God.
You are, baby. You're the king.
I would have totally put on the underwear too. I would have walked around being like, "Hey, who wants to love me tender?"
You definitely would have.
Of course I would have. But like you said, you never know in these little nooks and crannies and corners of America. And I know that when you look at some of these towns, you've heard of Savannah before, and you've heard of Salem, and you know that these are kind of famously haunted places. But when you're watching this show, you're looking at them from the perspective of, hey, this is just a typical American town, and you're really getting to see kind of that small town atmosphere of these places. So it's like, we talked about it before you guys were heading out on the road to go to these places, that sometimes it's not about the big famous haunted places that you've seen on TV before, or the places that you would expect people to go to. Sometimes you can find the story and the connections in those littler places that people don't know about.